iOS 26 has been out on its beta stages for about 3 weeks now, and I know a lot of people wanted to update to iOS 26, and a lot of them have actually updated and are using it on their daily devices. Now, of course, there is a lot of cool new features to talk about here. There's a lot of stuff that Apple has added and has changed on iOS 26, and that's why a ton of people will want to update even though it's still early on its beta stages. Now, when you install an early beta stage, of course, you will have bad battery life on your device. So in today's video, for everyone that is using the betas of iOS 26 on their device, I will show you guys a few tips and tricks that I believe will help you get better battery life on your iPhone. Now, we're starting things off with animations. Now, of course, iOS 26 will have a ton of new animations, and it has that liquid glass effect. All that is cool, but it's still early on its beta stages and it does consume a ton of battery. So head on to motion right here, and what I suggest you do is enable reduce motion right here, and it will basically remove some of the animations of iOS. As you can see right here, it will make it actually much smoother. It looks even faster, but it also at the same time will save you a ton of battery. Now, the next thing I suggest you do is go back here and head on to the battery settings. Now, with iOS 26, Apple has added a new feature which I believe you should use, especially at this point where we're still on betas. So go to power mode right here and you will have adaptive power. Now, this basically will learn the patterns on how you use your iPhone and letting you actually use your iPhone more with that battery percentage. So it basically extends the battery life of your iPhone. So make sure you also have adaptive power turned on. Next up, we're talking about wallpaper. So when you go to your lock screen on iOS 26, you will have this new feature which will basically enable the spatial scene on your wallpaper on the lock screen. It looks cool. You will probably use it a lot, but I suggest you don't use it currently while we're still on the early beta stages because it will consume a ton of battery. And also just changing the wallpapers, if you have noticed, especially on beta 1 but also on beta 2, I've noticed that when I'm on the customization screen right here to customize my wallpaper, and when I change the wallpaper a lot, it will just heat up the iPhone a ton. That means that it is actually consuming a ton of battery, and heating up the battery, which will of course will damage your battery a lot. So I suggest that you just change your wallpaper as rarely as possible while we're still on these beta stages. Now, another thing on iOS 26 will be the new backgrounds for iMessage. Now, this is a pretty cool feature. I'm pretty sure a lot of you will be excited to have backgrounds now on your conversations. Now, if you just set a still photo is okay, but if you go ahead and set these like dynamic backgrounds for the messages conversations, and if you're on conversations a lot, then it will of course drain the battery a lot. So make sure you keep maybe none of the backgrounds, or just keep a simple photo as the background of your conversation. Now, the next thing I suggest you check and make sure you have is the latest update. Now, Apple, as you know, currently is releasing an update every 2 weeks, but even in meantime, they have released a new beta for iOS 26 beta 1. There was a re-release, so it might happen again. So always make sure that you're regularly checking the update section right here and make sure that you have the latest beta installed. Now that you're on beta, you have to make sure that you always update to the latest one and your iOS is always up to date. Now, the same thing goes for apps. Make sure that you also have your apps up to date. A lot of apps will have updates all the time. All those updates will contribute on the apps being more compatible with your device, and of course, maybe even helping out with battery life on your iPhone. So make sure you head on to the app section right here and go to the App Store. And what I suggest you do is that you have app updates enabled for automatic downloads, which means that all of the apps that get updates on the App Store will automatically be updated to the latest version, so you don't run any old version of your apps. Next up is Apple Intelligence. Now, if you have a device that does support Apple Intelligence, but you're not actually using it on a daily basis, or rarely use it, or maybe never use it at all, I suggest that you actually turn it off completely. You will see Apple Intelligence, the summaries, and all those pop up everywhere on iOS. iOS, those are basically working in the background. Even though you're not using them, they're still working and processing in the background. But if you don't actually use them, you don't need them, I suggest that you go to your settings, go under Apple Intelligence and Siri, and just right there at the top you will have the main switch where you can go ahead and completely shut it off. Another thing I suggest you do is head on under the accessibility settings, and right here you will find vocal shortcuts. Now basically what these are shortcuts that allow you to perform different actions. So you say a word, it performs an action. But if I enable this, it will be, as you can see right there, the indicator, it started using my microphone, and it will always stay like that. So it's always using the microphone in the background. You know what that means? It's using your microphone. Of course, it's using battery as well, and just draining the battery in the background. So go ahead and turn that off as well. Now right here we'll also have music haptics. Now with iOS 26, Apple has actually added a ton of cool new features to the music haptics here. You can now customize it, but I suggest that you go ahead and turn it off. Anything that has to use the haptic engine on your iPhone will consume a ton of battery. So if you really don't need this feature, go ahead and turn it off completely, or choose a lower intensity right here. So now with iOS 26, you can actually change the intensity as well. So if you just want to use it, maybe use a lighter intensity. And we also have another feature here under accessibility. It is sound and now name recognition. So with iOS 26, it can also recognize names. So if you go right there, you can set up a name, and it will basically alert you when it hears that name. Now, if you don't need sound recognition or name recognition, if you don't really need it and you have to use it, then just go ahead and turn it off completely. As I said at the beginning, everything that has to work in the background, has to listen to you, or has to monitor something, does always consume a ton of battery. So if you don't really need this feature, make sure you have it turned off. Next up is the home screen. Now on the home screen, make sure you choose wisely the widgets that you have all the time on the home screen. If you don't really need those widgets, then make sure you have them turned off or basically removed from your iPhone. Now there will be a ton of widgets that need to be updated all the time, like the news widgets, or this one here from stocks. It has to update all the time. So that does consume a ton of battery, and not just on the home screen, the lock screen widgets as well. All the weather widgets, the stocks widgets, the news widgets, all those have to actually refresh and update all the time, that way draining a ton of battery. So I suggest you go ahead and just remove them if you don't really need them from your home screen and lock screen as well. Now the same right here will go for apps as well. So here's the trick: head onto your settings, go under the battery section, and take a look at the apps that you have right here on the list. So let's just wait here. Let's view the full list, and here we have the apps. Now if you have here apps that you know you're using a lot and they're on this list, then it's okay. You can of course let those apps on your device. But if you have here a few apps that you actually don't use a lot but are still consuming a ton of your battery, then you should actually remove those apps from your device and maybe find an alternative app on the App Store, because not using them a lot and consuming a ton of battery means that that app is actually draining your battery, probably is poorly coded and consuming a ton of battery. Next up is Airdrop. So head on to the general settings and then go to Airdrop. If you're not using it a lot, make sure you just completely turn it off, especially the bringing devices together feature. That is a cool feature, it looks cool, but probably you will never use it. So it will stay scanning for devices, always trying to activate when your device is close to another one, just consuming unnecessary battery. So make sure you have receiving turned off and also bring devices turned off as well. And last but not least is 5G. If you're in an area where you know you don't have really good 5G coverage, then just go ahead and just turn it off completely. Just switch to LTE or 4G, whatever you have, because having not that good coverage for 5G will drain the battery out of your iPhone. It is always trying to connect and switch to 5G for faster speeds, of course, but it does consume a ton of battery that way. So I suggest that if you know that the 5G coverage is actually not that great, make sure you just bring it a step down to 4G or LTE. So that's basically it for this video, guys. These are 15 tips and tricks that I believe will help you fix the battery drain issues on your iPhone while we're enjoying these beta stages of iOS 26. So that is it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video and you found it helpful. If you did, smash that like button and subscribe for more, and I'll see you on the next one.